Good morning. Good morning. What am I saying? Good afternoon. It feels like morning. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tom Sidney Bushnell, aka Numbers, here from the Tom Numbers Show, Top of Your Game, and from Sight Clubs, so my two channels. And I've got two amazing guests with me. I've got Mr. Michael Jaco, and I've got Miss JANINE Morrigeau. And I had to control everyone knows her full title. Everyone knows her full title, but I've got them both here with me. How are both of you?
Very good.
It is morning here, Tom. So
there you go. That's it. I was with you, JANINE, this morning there. Yeah, it's lunchtime, I think, for Michael, or close to, or just over. But yeah, it's morning in Canada. Okay, so we've got a lot of great things to go through. We'll talk about the video that you sent me, JANINE. Maybe we can start off on this. So yesterday, President Trump launched something. He had a really special announcement. He prepped us the day before on the 14th. He said, I've got a really major announcement, and it was all to do with superheroes. He said America needs a superhero. I did the numbers on this. This was interesting. So I did a show with Juan yesterday, and the numbers on America. So those new viewers, people that are new, when I'm talking about numbers, A is 1, so it's the first letter in the alphabet, B is 2, C is 3, all the way through to Z or Z, 26th letter. So I add up the numerical codes and dovetail it with Michael's intuition and with JANINE's cards. So, and interestingly, gematria is the technical name for numbers, is 74 when you spell it out, and tarot is 74 as well. So, we're on point here. But yesterday, President Trump launched, so the phrase you did 2 days ago, he said, America needs a superhero. I was like, I've been talking about superheroes. We have, the three of us, for a while, and all the films in relation to it. But this is really key, the things he's brought up. So America is 50, which is Donald. It's also the word fight. It's Paul and Eileen for my personal numbers, the orbs I get from my ancestors, well, my people that are passed on from my family. But needs is 47, which is John. That comes to 97, which comes to crypto, comes to beautiful. And then superhero is 125, which is dark to light, which is time travel, which is John Kennedy. But if you add the small word of A, which equals 1, that's 125 plus 1, which comes to 126. 126 comes to Chinese elders. It comes to Sarah Connor, John Connor for the Terminator series of the time travelers, but it also comes to our buddy 107, 126. So America needs a 126, a superhero. So he kind of chuckled at that yesterday. But then President Trump announced what the big announcement was, and it was the Trump cards. Trump cards. And the tarot have Trump cards. You've spoken about it on a number of occasions, JANINE. Trump card itself is frequency, which is 114. It's sovereign. So Trump cards leads to sovereignty. But also Trump card is history. So if you change your frequency 114, you can actually change your history, which I think this is all was going on. Everything's the other word as well is needs is 47, time. And you've spoken a lot about time not being as we may perceive it to be. But then he released these NFTs, special cryptos, but NFT comes to 40, which is RV for the revaluation. We had this whole debacle over the last few weeks with that crypto company. I can't remember what it's, something X. Where's that money going to go? I don't know, but Mark Atwood just told me just before it came on that the Trump cards are already gone up 67% since yesterday, since the launch already. So all these things of crypto, of revaluation, of Trump comms, superheroes, what's President Trump saying? What's he getting at? And then the video you sent me that he did after that, JANINE, about coming back as president, being inaugurated, needs to happen immediately. Let's have a look at. I don't even know what the question will be, but let's have a look. What are the first one? Let's look at what are the superhero Trump cards that President Trump has brought out. Surface level, people think, what's all that about? Some people are a bit disappointed, but no, President Trump always delivers, and it's always layer upon layer. I think it's simply, I think at one level it's maybe a reward for truthers, people that believe in him, to bless them with wealth and prosperity. but I think there may be some other things with it as well. Maybe we can. What is President Trump's purpose with these Trump card series, the NFTs, Janine? If we could look at that, please.
Okay, I have kind of looked around that, and I get it. It is sort of signaling their version of Nisara Jasara.
Yes.
I got the same thing.
So
Yep.
signaling
Yes.
that there's going to be independent ways that you can get involved in the crypto market, maybe that isn't that's legit and not tied to the deep state market,
Yeah.
let's say.
Got it.
I think that's part of it, right? And also there was a lot of spelling mistakes in what he put out there. If that was even him who put it out, some people say other people were actually cutting and pasting him as a superhero and put that out. That might not have even been the Trump team that put that out, by the way. Interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Not to say, I think he would have had them taken down a long time ago if they weren't something he was going to use for the people. I think he would never let that fly like that. It was such a big deal. So I don't think, and no, and the white hats didn't seem to come out, saying, no, that's not legit. So as far as I'm concerned, it's legit, but it might be other people sort of doing it. But also there was a lot of spelling errors. So I bet the spelling errors were comms in themselves. Trying to teach us something, right?
Yeah.
But
and he did announce it on his account on Truth Social, on Donald Trump's Truth Social
he
account.
did. Okay.
You know.
Okay. So the one he would have done there would have been legit, but there was a whole bunch afterwards that were
Right.
apparently cut and pasted.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's in a hidden. So this is hidden under his cloak. This guy has things hidden under. So there's a whole lot of deep comms in it for sure. But it's about going forward. So he's given everybody a leg up. This guy gives you a leg up in business or boosts you forward.
Yes.
So it's literally like a leg up. So it's a leg up for humans. Okay. And a lot of people did get a bit of a gut punch from it at first until they saw the real announcement that he made that was all around shutting down. I'm just trying to say it properly here so you don't get in trouble. Giving us back our freedom of speech.
Yes.
I hope we can say that. Yeah. I mean,
we
not being able to say that tells you everything about YouTube, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, that was, I think, his real serious speech. But that first one, do you guys remember that coyote story I told recently?
Yes.
Where the coyote revisited and it was playful and wanted to play. And what I got out of that was coyote represents to me, for myself spiritually, the white hats or the alliance. And I got that they were going to do something playful. And right after that, all you know what would go down.
Yes.
Okay. I think the Trump cards might have been part of that. And he's going to play his Trump card. So it could have been a signal for that too, because this is the next thing that happens. And that's the good military card. That would be like the white hat army.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking we got stuff and he was the most direct and the most authoritative that I've heard him in a long time. Also, he sounded like he was literally assuming that he was going to be inaugurated any minute. And he didn't say the words when I am in 2024. He didn't say that. People added that to the title because they assumed that, but he didn't say it once. And everything he talked about was stuff that has to be done immediately. He said that word several times. He also said the word something to do with a redo or something. I can't remember the exact word.
Didn't he? Yeah. What was that word? Yeah,
he pointed it out in particular, and he even repeated it, and it would be like reinstate, maybe is the word. But I don't remember. But anyway, it had the RE at the beginning, and it was basically saying, as far as I'm concerned, that he's going to be seated again where he's meant to be, the thing that was taken away from him in 2020, that's coming back, and it never really went away anyway. Like the whole thing sounded like he was saying that to us.
Yeah. So I think it's like, more signaling like we're talking about. So the non-fungible token, the NFT, Melania came out with her own NFT several months ago. And now we have Donald coming out with his NFT. It's already sold out, so it's already skyrocketing in price. So like you were talking about, Tom. So basically telegraphing, because, you know, FTX and all these other, you know, coins that have been going down. A lot of people are like thinking crypto's done. I think it's still the future. But I think that, you know, it remains to be seen who survives. You know, Bitcoin itself will definitely survive, but how many other tokens, you know, alternate coins will survive remains to be seen. Almost like the .com bust back in the 2000s, where all those .com companies, 90% of them went away. So, and then the ones that remain, you know, lost 90% of the value, but still hung on, like Amazon. So there's going to be a lot of change coming, but we're only seeing a sliver of it. So Donald is signaling that that is still going to be an operation going forward, because he's basically putting his authority behind it. Look, you can have my token card, and it's got all my great pictures and blah, blah, blah. We all know he's narcissistic. There's no problem with that. I don't care. He's still the greatest president ever. But there's still going to be, I think, going forward, some things that have to be resolved. And I think it's coming to a head very, very, very quickly. I'm pushing myself that it's time for the white hats to start moving, because at this point on, to become gray hats. And if they keep playing this game where we're going to just slow roll this till everybody wakes up, we're awake by now, guys. Come on. Those that are going to be awake, and those that are still very, very sleepy, when they get the shock, they'll wake up too. So if they continue this slow roll game, they're going to turn into black hats. So they don't want that. We don't want that. So I think all of us as humanity now need to join together and say, it's time. This is it. And Janine, you were just, I believe you got the telegraph that it's very, very close, about ready to step in. So that's my thoughts on this. I would love to see that happen. I have seen something happening this month in a grand way. We're seeing the stock market crash, manipulation within the stock market. Before they came out with the CPI, which is Consumer Price Index, just a few days ago, a minute before the results came out, futures skyrocketed a minute before. So that means that someone knew what they were going to reveal. So after it was revealed a minute later, then you know, the futures really zoomed up. So these guys are playing. I've been saying this for a while. It's a total manipulation game. You can't win in there. You can't win in that environment. So it's like if we were betting, and we knew that the little thing, you know, in the roulette wheel, we already knew that it was going to stop on 32, and then boom, it stopped on 32, and we're like, yeah, and then it popped out and went over to 35. And that's because they manipulate things in front of our face, and we have that whole system is being exposed for what it is. So Trump came out with this NFT, which is basically the new Nassar Jassar, coming out soon, I believe.
Yesterday as well, with that was, and I think as well, I've said this before, but people go on about like ego. I think ego, a healthy self-love and self-confidence is always a good thing. We all need it. And I'm glad President Trump has the biggest pair on the planet, you know. So I'm glad.
Very healthy ego, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad. Well, I'm glad he's got the biggest pair of balls on the planet.
Confident.
Yeah, he's got the 8-8 balls, the 8-8, you know, the pool balls. So 8-8, 2 balls. That's 88's Trump. But another thing that was noticed yesterday is the film Superman came out in 1978 on yesterday's date, November 15th. When you spell out November 15th, it comes to 148, which is Donald J. Trump, which is time traveler, which is simple gematria, the numbers that I use, that he uses, that others use. But Superman came out on that date, and President Trump releases his Trump cards, and the first one you see is him being a superhero with laser beam eyes at Trump Tower. Trump Tower is 169. It's the Great Awakening. It's also the stock market. So maybe there's something like you mentioned there, Michael, that in reference to the ebb and flow of that. And also 169 is, well, it's one of my names, it's Thomas Bushnell. So I noticed that. But you mentioned Nasara Jassara. So Nasara Jassara, Nasara is 58, which is Star, which is XRP, which is Ivanka. Jassara is 51, which is Batman, which is great, which is actually Michael. It's your first name. But if you do Jassara plus Nasara, you have Batman. And Nasara is also Robin, as in Batman and Robin. So you add those together, that's 109, which is 17, which is the whole thing for the White Hats. Site Club, my channel, Dinah Spencer, Zapruder, etc. But then going back to Superman, Superman comes to 107, which comes to trumps, and we're talking about trump cards. So it's trumps, trump cards. It also comes to currency. It's an NFT, the whole thing of the RV revaluation, bearing in mind that 138 is revaluation. It's also quantum, so you've got that component. So the quantum system, meaning that man can't manipulate, it's the higher dimensional stuff, the higher technologies. It's also currency. So Superman 107 is currency, it's 107 military, it's 107 quantum, it's 107 Aquarius, and we're going into the age of Aquarius. It's also eternal life. We're going to live forever. We're humans. We have godlike abilities. That's what we've been suppressed for, millennia upon millennia. But now it's our awakening time. Is to activate and to become higher beings and to become like superheroes. Ishmael's been talking about that a lot. He's been bringing that message, and I've loved it from the film point of view with the numbers. And President Trump's like, hey, and coming into Janine's Coyote is going to be playful, and we couldn't predict what it was, but lo and behold, there it is. And this is something that was amazing. So I was talking to someone on the phone, and I was just down here on Bournemouth at the pier. It was very cold. I wanted to come in and warm up, so I found this arcade, and it's got all the pinball machines, and it's got all these superheroes. I put it on my Telegram. Then I get a text from Kristen from Arcana Shores, who does the readings like Janine with her brother Jason, and she said, and she sent me the thing, President Trump's got this announcement. And I saw the superhero thing, but literally a minute before I'd taken a picture of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the Flash, just because I like those things. And then she sent me the thing about President Trump doing the superhero announcement, which was announced the following day. So everything was on point. But I think Superman is to do with military, to do with currency, to do with quantum, because they all come up to the same value, 107. And if you drop the 0, it obviously comes to 17. So it's exciting. Janine, what did you think about, you sent me a video and you wanted to talk more about this message that President Trump, his real message, the big announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Can we look at some more? I know you've looked at it. Are there any other questions or things in relation to that we could look at with the cards on what President Trump's actually putting out to us?
Well, let's ask the cards in that language.
Yes.
See if I missed anything.
Yes.
Because I really, even the first 2 minutes said it all to me. It was his demeanor and how authoritative he was, and just like he was totally taking charge. And it was actually the speech I've been waiting for a long time, like energetically, because I've heard a lot of his stuff and it's rhetoric, always the same. This one was literally calling out all of the bad guys in the government, all of them. He listed them, boom, boom, and those three-letter agencies, and he's basically saying he's taking them down. Yeah, it was incredible. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, and on Coyote, I learned from Apache teachings, and the Coyote and Apache teachings is basically we're normally Western education is instant gratification. We want things right away, but in the Apache culture or Native American cultures as a whole, basically they want the experiential education. So you experience, what is going on. I become a master, like Janine's a master. You're a master, Tom. So we have become masters in our chosen field, and then we teach others, or we give other people this experiential experience that we're seeing, which so we're revealing things, and it's up to other people to really get on and learn this stuff. It's like, I'm not giving you all the answers. We don't give all the answers. We give you coyote teaching. We give you, you know, something that you can experience for yourself. And that's the beauty, I think, of, you know, reaching into these realms of consciousness like we do in these the higher forms of consciousness connected to, you know, creator source. And that's the way the Native Americans, they call it the creator. They don't call it God. They don't call it anything else. They call it the creator. Creator, that's a beautiful word, right? So we're creating, all of us, we're creating this experiential experience for other people to come in and have this experience. We don't own it. We're not gurus. We're just experiencing it. We're sharing the experiences. That's a beautiful thing about coyote teaching. And it's cool that coyote has shown up to you, Janine.
Yeah.
Right on. So this is representing how Trump's feeling right now, and when he put that out there. So he's going more with his higher consciousness and higher mind. He's had to surrender, maybe even to advice from our future selves. This is the galactic helpers. I always get that they're the ones kind of taking it slower and thinking that they're like looking after the humans in doing so. So he got a lot of advice and I always got, he listened to that advice. And he's also connected because I think he's a hybrid. I don't think he's entirely like from here. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah.
So here we've got that surrender. So he had to surrender to taking it that way out of wisdom. So out of wisdom, even though it was hard, because even though you say he's got a big ego, that could even be just what brand they're putting out for him. Okay, because I got a feeling he's actually doesn't have, if he even listened to that and was okay with that, somebody with the big ego would have stomped out in the public eye a lot sooner and maybe ruined the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? I think the big ego part's part of his brand. And also he was branded with a big ego, even by the bad guys. And maybe he's just playing it up a bit like Coyote. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is in the past. So a lot of what he did was political and things he agreed to do. Political and things he agreed. So the speech he gave, he surrendered to the wisdom of the higher knowing, but he's ready to go fast all of a sudden. So this is going into new territory. They're going into new territory and fast from all different directions. I think he was saying also that they got even more, they got everything they need with that Twitter stuff, because he mentioned a lot throughout that little speech. He mentioned that all of the stuff they got. Okay, so they got even more than they had before. Time to move it into new, they got what they need. They're moving it fast and furious. This card's really fast from a lot of different resources and sources. They're going to move things. And then it'll be end of movie, because this is the end of a facade. Time to celebrate.
Wow.
That's what he was saying, I think.
Wow, that was beautiful, Janine. That's amazing. I love the bit when you talk about surrendering to his higher self, because I can't speak for everyone, but I'm sure you've, and the viewers and Michael and yourself have had time. Oh, they've just had a nice little orb or something just go behind you when I said that. Yeah, the higher self, because sometimes if you're just trying to work stuff out down here, but surrendering to your higher self and going with that intuition, that feeling, there's some things I've got that have been going on with that personally, and I'm like just kind of trusting the higher self, the universe, that everything's gonna just work out as it should and as it needs to. Yeah, I like that a lot. And Fast and the Furious, you made another good film reference there. I have to do the numbers on that. I've got a question about this. When you said about they've got everything, because he said in regards to Twitter and making reference that they've got everything. One of the phrases, Juan talked about this yesterday, and he made a reference to another TV, not a film, but a TV thing said Better Call Saul, which is from Breaking Bad. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but I did the numbers on that, and that's Drain the Swamp 151. The Jasara Reset 151. I've got an actual question about this. So would when they've been doing the roundups and when they've been draining the swamp, would people that have been assisting with money of, because let's face it, 99% of the world, probably at the top tier, have been involved in the nasty stuff If anyone's right at the top table, there's President Trump and the White Hats that are, you know, the minority. But most corporations, most people, if they've got to a certain level, have been embroiled in it, either directly or indirectly. So people have been assisting in keeping their money in trusts and hiding it away, using, you know, rat holes, using the trickery of the law and man-made laws for the betterment of them. Even if they've not been directly doing the bad stuff, but they've been assisting, and they've, you know, if you're around stuff for a while, you're gonna have a sense. If you're a decent, if you're a human of a certain intelligence, you're going to understand certain things, whether you're told indirectly or directly. Are those people going to get rounded up as well? Are they going to have things like their bank accounts seized? Are those assets going to be taken from them? Are they going to be dealt with?
I think it's going to depend. The biggest roundups have to do with the things to do with 12s and unders, and the party substance. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. So I think all of it has to get individually. I think they're going to individually look at. So I can't really say with this card in the middle. It says that's sort of a case by case.
Okay.
So they're probably going to do some weighing out of, where did this intention come from? Where did that? Is your intention, did you knowingly support or engage in people that you knew were supporting, you know, that kind of activity? If it has to do with the party substance, you're toast. And then it goes down the line from there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there has been a lot of cleanup on that level. The next level basically is where a lot of this gets exposed, and that's coming very quickly, I believe. And the exposure, the laying it all out there, and then of course there's military tribunals, because the justice system as a whole is completely corrupted by these evil ones. So like you're talking about, Tom, to get to the top, you have to make deals. A lot of times there's consequences for making some of those deals, and just like Janine was talking about, it depends on how far down the rabbit hole you went in making those deals, and that's going to determine, you know, how much justice is served. But I think that the numbers are going to be staggering. How many people are going to be actually you know, probably taken away in some form or another.
Looking at that further as well, Michael and Janine. So when, like you say, the numbers are going to be staggering, i.e. there's going to be more than we maybe first thought, with all the different percolations of the levels and how far. There's a biblical reference, I can't remember. It's talking about old bottles and new wines into old bottles. I'm misquoting it, but the thought that comes to my mind when I've heard that in the past is this replacement. So we've seen there's different copies of people out there, whether they're a clone, whether they're an actor, whether it's CGI, whether it's a walk-in, whether it's someone from Space Force coming in and swapping with them. If there's hundreds of thousands of people on the earth, or probably into the millions, maybe multiple millions, that are in this swamp, that have been dealt with or are being dealt with, all of a sudden, if they're all to suddenly go, you're going to see a huge chasm in population, and it's going to affect so many people, families, people that didn't know about it. Are they doing, and have they been doing, and will they continue to swap people in and out? I.e., they'll, like Janine says about using their brand. They'll use their brand, they'll use their image to bring about a certain purpose in the game, to help people understand the truth, but also to people that are innocent, i.e. family members, associates, people that didn't know about this, their sanity, their livelihood is protected. Are we going to see lots and lots of these walking characters, whether it's a clone, a double, CGI, or something else? Not just at the top people, the famous ones that we know about, but right down the different layers of the swamp. Or maybe I should do it. You've got the bottom ones, and then you've got the ones that aren't as bad. They're a bit closer to the water and cleanliness, but still nevertheless have to be cleansed out. Are we going to see more swap outs of images of brands of people, even people that aren't that famous, but for the sanity of their family, for the sanity of the people they've worked with, are we going to see copies, clones, doubles of them, even though they've gone? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't think as many as you're suggest, like, I don't think as many as that, because this
Okay.
says if they have a really good use for them, they'll keep
Yeah.
them. Like they have to continue to be useful. And also this is saying their time's running out when they're going to be useful because they got so much already from a lot of these people. So
Okay.
those politicians aren't going to be useful anymore. I'm hoping, I'm hoping Canadian politician, that
Yeah.
bunch gets
Yeah.
outed real quick. I'm sure everywhere, everybody's hoping the same thing. Like when they stop being useful. So it's all about their usefulness that they get left in place. But if they're not useful, they're not going to. And there's 2 pages around it. So it's not going to be that big of an amount that gets a very few, I think, going forward after a big reveal happens. I think there might be a few left, but very few.
Okay, that's interesting. And so
So
if they're not
give
that
an
useful,
example, if you were like, for my SEAL team experience, special forces, we had the leadership, and then we had everyone below the leadership all the way down to the most junior person. We would have the most junior person run the show sometimes, just so we could see that anyone can step up and take over and run the show. If we call them the head shed, if everybody on the top was annihilated or wiped out, then the next person comes up, and that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a lot of people at the top being taken out, and they're still bringing in CGI, they're bringing in clones, they're bringing in body doubles. All this kind of stuff is still keeping the show going.
Mhm.
And then people, when they get wiped out, somebody else just takes over. We saw Steve Jobs get taken out, and then someone else took over. If that person gets taken out, somebody else takes over. So it's these bad corporations, like you're talking about, will continue until the exposure happens. So it was the same thing when I was overseas. We'd take out a terrorist, and then somebody took their place. We take that person out, and somebody take their place, on and on and on and on, until you expose everything, until you take away their money. NFT, crypto, you take away their money. So when you take away their money, the way they feel, and you shut down their operations like Trump was doing with the border wall, and you start to go after child trafficking, you're taking away their funding. And that's what's been going on. Now it has to be a complete disclosure, so everyone sees all the people that are involved, and they can't continually rise up as we take out, the head shed, the top people. It'll continue for years and years and years and years. And we've heard people say, 2003, 2023, 24, 25, that's where it will be if it continues the way it is. So that's why I think it's about at that point where things are going to be revealed. They have to be revealed. And we're past the point where we're getting, any kind of good results from taking out the top leadership. It's got to be a complete exposure by now.
Yeah, take away the money. Yeah. Janine, when you said about you think it's less than, maybe we were first thinking but it'd be less people that are useful. So when they become non-useful, or they're not useful in the first place, how do they get dealt with? Do they go to prison? Do they die? Do they get taken out? What happens with the majority of those in that category?
I think it's a whole lot of things, because a lot of them already in the back channels have already been what I call processed.
Okay.
So then they've got these doubles in there. They've got these lookalikes. They've got these, and a lot of them are actually, some of them start to really not look anything like the people.
Yeah.
Even the Trump talking on that video didn't look like Trump. Okay, that didn't look like Trump. And I thought it didn't look like Trump so much, and they were so up close that maybe they were even trying to expose that they do that. Right? Because he was exposing a lot. I felt like they're ready to take down the veils here pretty quick. Yeah. Like after a speech like that, they can't not. Like they got nowhere. The next move has to be that, is what I figure. The next really big move's got to be that. You know, so anyway, I think lots of ways, but let's see what the cards say.
Yeah, because we're exposing them, you know, we're exposing ourselves by exposing them. And we're doing the hard work that, you know, at some point they're going to have to come out, because we can't keep this up. You know, I have a lot of friends that have fallen away and are sick now. It takes a toll on people. So you know, we're getting shut down on platforms, and so at some point it's gotta happen. It's gotta be a complete reveal.
Yeah. So slowly, this is saying, and case by case again, depending on, because a lot of them have already been processed. So depending on what their justice they're facing, it'll depend. Like, because some of them were taken out a long time ago and some of them are still in place. I feel like there are still some walking around, and I figure they get plucked out if they start acting up too. Do you know what I mean? Like if they start getting away from their script.
Yeah.
I think we've seen that a few times, you know. I can't think off the top of my head, but a few times it seemed to me that they're kind of wavery in their script. DeSantis is one. I know I get in trouble, but I'm telling you, that guy's a gray hat, and he's in place just because he's useful.
Yeah.
And he's doing the bidding, but every once in a while he falls off the script, seems to me.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of NPCs or non-player characters that are out there. I've heard this from a lot of people now. There's basically clones, I believe, that are out there in the millions. So you see a lot of these new shows and stuff like that. They have like this device on their watch or whatever, and they twist it, and all the NPCs just basically disappear, the non-player characters. So there's a lot of that going on right now. Yeah, that was, yeah. So
yeah,
that time thing or whatever, but it is, I believe it's going to be another exposure. So we think everything's kind of normal, but there's this die-off that's happening of real people, and they're being replaced by NPCs.
Wow.
Wow.
Jen, you said about the Coyote. So Coyote is 83. And if you do the Coyote, that's 116. And yesterday was Thursday. And the day Thursday comes to 116. So it's interesting you had your visit from your real, you know, the Coyote, and you got prepped on that a week or so ago. And it's like, so it happened on a Thursday. And Thursday's 116, the Coyote is 116. And you also used this phrase just a few minutes ago, case by case. Guess what it comes to? It comes to 83 Coyote. So I was like,
wow.
There you go. Yeah. Coyote, case by case.
Yeah.
Can we look at the thing about NPCs? Because that's really interesting what Michael brought up. Are we going to see, is that going to, you did a previous reading on the people that kind of being shown, and that he indicated it was slow, but NPCs, are we going to get revelation or a reveal on that quickly, or would that be a gradual, slower process as well for people really understanding that NPCs or NPCs, I should say, non-player characters?
Wow. I agree with Michael. There's a whole lot of those.
Yeah.
You're going to be disappointed to know how many of those. Some of them might even be in your family. I know that sounds weird, but that kind of makes sense to me, actually. And then we've got this moon card in the middle. So they're literally, there's energetically, they're not really present. Like that's not present looking at those two cards. This is like a facade and not present. So I feel like it'll be kind of easy for them to almost step out of the movie.
Wow.
I feel like a lot of people are saying all of a sudden there's going to be a lot less people on the earth. I don't think they literally just have to be meaning people that took the you-know-what products and are getting ill and etc. I think that might be, they just disappear maybe. some of those guys, some of those energies, they're no longer necessary and they just disappear into the ether. Because this is interesting. That moon card is, they might dimensionally just go. So like the movie veil here lifts and some of the illusions disappear. That is fascinating, but I guess it'll be interesting. We're all going to be having to watch.
That's interesting that you brought the moon card, because the word moon equals 57. It equals Tesla, but in this case it equals human. So human equals 57. You talked about illusion. Magician also equals 57. So the moon, we know, is a reflection. So it's kind of a reflection. It's showing you kind of maybe not what is there. So it's interesting that the moon card is depicting this thing about the NPCs, i.e. they're a shadow of humans. They're not actually humans, are a shadow. And that correlates perfectly with the number reading of 57 for human and 57 for moon, and magician is 57. President Trump's got a magician card actually in the NFTs. One of them, he's like this great illusionist, the great magician. Yeah. At the Prestige. Can we look at it a little further? So this whole thing of NPCs is fascinating. So if there's a lot more than we think, then probably some of them are going to be friends, family, people we know. Are they holographic? What are they? What do they consist of? Are they just a meat suit, as Mark Atwood likes to say, and then they just disappear? Or is it literally just a graphic in a game? Is it literally a piece of code that somehow just vanishes? Because I think it's a fascinating topic. It's like, what is an NPC? What are they? Are they flesh and blood like us? Are they just a really first-class hologram? What are they?
I'm going with meat suit.
All right.
And this is a really unique card. There's a uniqueness to this card. So it's a very unique entity that's operating it, or they're being operated, but they're actually physically like us. Like we're in an avatar, apparently, in some ways, right? We light up our avatar with our soul. That's what I believe. So when someone's soulless or not connected that way, so they're not online with their soul, you can see it in their eyes, and they're not very lit up, not very interesting, not very lively, not energetically engaging. I know a whole lot of people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first person that brought this to my attention, I was like, I don't know, was Dolores Cannon. And Dolores Cannon, she described them as like backdrop or background people, and she did some shows on it. She was fascinating. She did past life discovery and all kinds of amazing stuff. She talked to Jesus. She had like extraterrestrials channel through her, all kind of crazy stuff. But unfortunately, she's passed away now. Almost went to one of her events to learn her skills, but she was talking about this a long time ago. And like I said, I was like, and then I've heard from other people that are talking about how Detroit, there's underground facilities in Detroit where that's one of the main places where they were, I believe it's been destroyed now, but they were pumping them out big time in Detroit, because Detroit was basically, there was no one left hardly in Detroit. And now there's like, more and more people going to Detroit, or seemingly showing up in Detroit. But I agree with Janine. Easy way to see them is they're soulless beings. So there's really no light in the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could,
even though they might look like a family member, like you're saying, and that is true. They're all around us right now. And that doesn't mean you start looking at people. Don't. It's not that big of a deal. It is what it is. But we're going to discover a lot of things going forward. It's just going to blow us away. Even this stuff, for us, we're like, yeah. But most people are like, no way. I was like that. I was like, no way. But over time, I see more and more information, and that's the way it's going to be. I think when this big exposure happens, many people are going to be, no way. But over time, they'll come along. So I'm not really concerned with people really getting on board right away. I mean, we've been talking about this for years now. we're like, well, when is everybody going to wake up? Well, there's a lot of people that have woke up. And,
Yeah.
and I think as we go forward, we're going to see an astounding number of people wake up, but it's going to take a big reveal. Absolutely it's going to take a big reveal.
Talking of Detroit, another place popped into my mind. Janine, I don't know if you remember this. In the summer, I was down on the coast in Bournemouth, here on the south coast of England, and I'm down here. I've been down here the last couple of weeks, enjoying just. It's cold, but it's still beautiful to see the sea and the sun. There was a smoking. Well, there was a fire area called Studland, just across the chain ferry. I don't know if you remember this question, Janine, but it happened in the summer. And I asked you about it. And you said that yeah, they were doing a cleanup because it looked kind of weird, and I felt something about it. I was like, huh, that's been happening again recently. So to put you in the picture of it, you've got Bournemouth, which is a beautiful golden sand area on the south coast of England, and then you have an estuary, a gap, Poole Harbour. It's where the Scouts, Baden-Powell was all created around there. So it's an interesting kind of historical place. But they have a chain ferry, which is basically it's a car ferry on a chain, on a rope of a chain, and it comes back and forth. But that got damaged shortly before it came back from the US and is out of commission. There's pictures of it. One of the arms on the ferry's bent, and there's this big hoo-ha of it not being fixed, an insurance claim and all the rest of it. And I'm wondering if that's just surface, because I haven't seen it this week, but definitely last week and the week before that, there were constant smokestacks on this area that you can't get to on the ferry now. I just wanted to know, have they been doing further cleanup jobs down there? Because it seems a bit strange that the ferry's out of commission for so long, and with the smokestacks in the winter, and it's a perfect time to do it. It's like, it's cold, it's winter, people aren't going to go there, they can't get across, they're not going to bother driving all the way around unless they really have to, because it's like a 40-mile trip otherwise.
Yep.
Instead of 4 minutes across.
I'd say yes, because that's a soft yes. And that's about justice. So calling people to justice. Roundups, calling people to justice, clearing things out, maybe even holding things there, like maybe there's an area that they're actually holding people underground. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, these two were in the middle. That was right between those two. So it's to the advantage of humans. So it's the good guys doing it. And
Okay.
it has something to do with ending something, because 10s are endings or ending a facade.
Okay. Is there any connection with Brownsea Island? So you have, as I described, you have Bournemouth, you have Studlands, and you have this Poole Harbour and the chain ferry. But Baden-Powell, the inventor, the creator of Scouts, there's Brownsea Island within that harbour. Is anything connected with that, with the clear up on the Studland, the smokestacks? Is there anything historically connected with the Scouts and Baden-Powell?
Isn't that interesting? It feels like they hold, there's a strong hold there is what I get. So strong hold. That's what that feels like, a strong hold. And I said, for who? That's our dark hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder, and then further, these were underneath. So physically moving people from there, holding, that's a holding place, and then they moved them somewhere. Yeah. So this was above. So holding and then moving them somewhere. And it's done. They physically bring them there, hold them, and then move them. Or it's a place, maybe they don't hold them there for long with this card, because then they move it. So it's a holding place.
Right. And white hats look like they've been cleaning that up then. Interesting. Wow. Thank you. I've also heard someone I met in the summer told me about similar things in Swanage, which is further around the coast, where that band that I saw in the summer, there's another kind of peninsula part. And she said that apparently there were underground things there that they knew of. And I think they'd been cleaned out a while ago. A holding place. Interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of those still somewhat surface level dumps
Yeah.
are that when they clean them, because there's bodies afterwards. So they have been burning them, I think. And that could be some of the smoke here. Some of us are seeing strange smoke that's coming out of some places. I've heard it from a lot of people, and that's kind of what I'm getting. That there's a cleaning process that's going on. I think some of those bodies, so I'm not just talking about the people that maybe resisted down there, but also, you know, the experimentations that went on down there. It's a mess down there. I've heard from people it's a mess, and we're not going to find out about a lot of this stuff. It's just too dark. But I think there has to be you know, some cleaning process of burning, you know, of stuff going on. So
there's another place in the UK called Milton Keynes. Milton Keynes has had some things in terms of Prince William and some of the things on the surface. He's been there. He's done kind of ceremonial and attendee events. It's a kind of peculiar place. It was man-made. It's created in a weird kind of circumstance, but it's pretty big. It even got a football team named after it. It kind of adopted a previous team. Is that a hive, or was that an area where there were dumps? I'm just wondering. Milton Keynes, it feels like there was, but I'm just wondering what the cards say on that, Janine. Milton
So
Keynes.
you got a yes
Okay.
in the middle.
That's
But this and this, so it was really hard to, but I think they brought that to a good, like the cleaning and clearing, that's a healing card.
good.
But it was hard to do, so I feel like that was a lot of hard work to do that.
Okay. Good. Can I ask you another thing about this? So the World Cup is on right now, the Soccer World Cup. There's a player that comes to mind called Dele Alli, and he was from Milton Keynes. He's got an interesting kind of back story. He had a kind of tough upbringing, but he became a superstar footballer for Tottenham Hotspur. But then all of a sudden, almost like a light switch, something happened in his mind or in his circumstances or in him, and he became really not very good anymore. Like, he just couldn't seem to produce the goods that he'd done, and he wasn't a flash in the pan for about maybe 3 to 5 years. He was a really top player for England and for that team, but he came from Milton Keynes. I'm just wondering, what's the truth of Dele Alli? Because no one seems to be able to get a tune out of him now. He's moved to Everton. He's moved to a different club. He's out of the national team. He doesn't. I'm just wondering if the whole thing of Milton Keynes dumbs, is there a connection with Dele Alli? And if there is, it's a shame. Yes,
and it looks like he might have come from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was feeling asking you.
I wonder if they create some of those, because we know Hollywood does that.
Yeah.
They create their stars, and you can even see a look.
Yes.
That all the new starlets, they have this similar look to, they'll be one, and then they'll kind of seem like they look like that. You could, if you move their features around a bit, or their hairstyle or whatever, and even swaps from males to females, like the look.
Yeah.
So they have these sort of cookie cutter looks.
Yeah.
That's all you could, and people blame it on Botox and work done and everything. I think they're smarter than that. Even they literally just create these underground, and a lot of people say they agree, and there might be an original to them, but then they create copies, and then they use them for different stars. They put different names on them. They make up backgrounds. We know that they make up backgrounds for these people. I think they outed that when they brought Meghan Markle to this front stage. They outed swapping, what they do between at a young age. I can't say all the words here, because that's what I got taken down for talking about. So they outed that because that was so obvious, and they outed what they do with when they say they're pregnant.
Yeah.
Right. So most of them aren't having their own babies. They outed that. They outed everything. They outed the whole psyop of that elite class, and how they literally make up a life that isn't real at all. None of their life was real. They
Yeah.
outed so many things. They might have even been working for the White Hats even back then. Sometime I think about that original, they had that interview where they were laughing about, first of all, they told everybody Megan was a vegan. Then they were laughing about when they got engaged, they were eating chicken.
Hmm.
And they used a whole bunch of words that had just recently been exposed as, you know what, gate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That meant different various,
Yeah.
anyway, age
Yeah.
groups and, genders
Yeah.
of little ones. Anyway, so they literally outed so many things with Meghan and Harry. It's like a literal outing of how they create total diversion. So you
Yeah.
don't look over here at what really those people are doing.
Yeah. There's also another footballer that comes to mind. So the World Cup final is between Argentina and France. France are the previous champions. There's a player called Kylian Mbappe, and the Star newspaper here in England, this is what, the tabloid paper, kind of cartoony, but I think it tells the most truth. It's a white hat newspaper, in my opinion, for revealing stuff. Even Daily Star comes to 109, which comes to Jasara plus Nasara. A week or so ago, they made comment that saying that Kylian Mbappe was an alien because he's a bit of a freak of nature. He's a brilliant footballer. He can run like the wind and he scores loads of goals, and he's just an incredible soccer player, but it's kind of freakily good, and the newspaper saying that he was an alien. I'm just wondering, is that the case? Was he created? Is he an alien? What's the truth of Mbappe?
I'm going to go with yes. Uniquely created, maybe. So hybrid.
Yeah.
And that's this card can be where you're not on the earth plane. So I think a hybrid is what I'd go with those two cards.
Yeah.
Because
And what team did you say he was on?
He's on the French team, Michael. He plays for Paris Saint-Germain, and he's the French winger. He's their number 10. But he's on, reportedly now they're saying he's on like 250 million pounds a year, like, which is unheard of. I mean, the top guys are getting maybe, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, 80 million a year, but he's just blown out of the water. He's on $250 million a year, but he's already won the World Cup. He's already scored 250 goals. I think he's either 22 or 23, and he may win a second World Cup title. And he's just this kind of freak of nature in terms of how he can play and produce. And it was interesting that the newspaper said, a player commented saying he's an alien, So I was like, okay, because it gives that impression of like a hybrid. He's like, he's been produced and off he goes, His
Right.
mum's supposed to be Algerian. His father is, I'm not sure if his father's Ghanaian. But he's the French poster boy. There's something interesting about France as well for football. So the national team seem to do a lot better than their domestic league. Like, you got the English Premier League, and we can't win any European or World Cup tournaments since '66. But France since 1998 have won the World Cup once with Zidane. They won the European Championship. They've been to another World Cup final. I think they've been to another Euro final, in 2016. They won the World Cup again, and they're now in another final. So in the best part of 24 years, they could, if they win on Sunday, win the World Cup 3 times in 24 years, and a European Championship, and be in a couple of other finals. But their domestic league is probably the 5th best in Europe. You've got England, Germany, Spain, Italy, and France, and there seems a disconnect between the national team. I wonder, there's a lot of things around it. I wonder if there's kind of black magic in terms of France winning so quite often,
That's what I look at, because I don't pay attention to these sports games anymore, because I know they're all rigged. So one of those teams has been chosen. Those 2 teams that are there were chosen to be there for some reason. And so you're bringing up good points. and they're coming out saying he's an alien. So now what I would look at bigger picture. Is there something coming out about aliens?
Maybe.
So if there is a bigger picture there on aliens, and that's France going to win. But you have to, I always look at both teams. It's like, and I predicted Super Bowl wins by doing this.
Yeah.
And I predicted, who was going to be the MVP. Last time I did, I was like, guys, I've been telling you this for years. I'm going to pick this one. And I'm going to tell you why. And I said, Joe Biden is sitting on an Indian blanket. And so the other team was, they were the Indians or whatever. And, and the Pirates, I was like, the Pirates, that's the maritime law. And that's what these guys abide by, Biden's maritime law, pirate. And they're sitting on the Indian blanket. And there was a sacrifice at this Indian stadium or whatever. A little girl died by one of the coaches accidentally running into her and killing her. Child sacrifice. I was like, okay, there you go. It's all wrapped up. And the way that Tom Brady came in, and we know the story behind Tom Brady. He's a little puppet for the deep state as well. So I was like, okay, the Patriots going to win. Tom Brady's going to be the MVP. I put money on it big time. I won big time. And I was like, this is the last time I'm doing this. Here you go, guys. I've been saying this for years. So it's the same thing with this. So if you want to know, if you're still into that, if you're still watching those rah-rah team, it's all manipulated. But that's interesting. So I like to look at it like you're doing, Tom. I like to look at it like, why going to win? And I call it before they win. And then when they win, like, see, this is all coordinated. This is all manipulated. And this is why they picked this team. So that would be interesting to see what that is.
France. Yeah.
I agree that it's manipulated because that's secrets and hidden things. And maybe some magic in there with that card. So it's all about money. So big corporations have to do with who wins. So I guess they back them so it's all money being traded in the background for who wins and secretly done.
So is it big bets on the surface for clients, but also maybe corporate betting that we maybe aren't even aware of?
Absolutely. This is another way they make money because they know who's going to win and they like pump the other side up.
Yeah.
The other side is like the ones that are the favorite team. And then it's like it gives them better odds. So I would look at that too. I was like, is Argentina, they have better odds. So you look at all those things. And if you want to, like for me, I'm like done with that system. Like here in America, in our stock market, completely manipulated. Like I talked about a minute before they released the numbers, zoomed up. And then everybody's like, oh, all the feds are all around the world. They're all on our side. We're going to have a magical Christmas. It's going to be, the stock market's going to boom, and everybody's betting the stock market's going to boom. And then the Fed came out and they did a 0.5 point, raise like they did in all the central banks all around the world, in the Euro and the UK and wherever else the central banks are at. Same thing. So they're all, and there's like, oh, we're not working together. It's like, whatever. So, so today and yesterday and today and the day before, the stock market went down. So they pushed it, they gamed it. There's like, yeah, the rates are good, the inflation's down, we're going to be backing off. And everybody's like, okay, this is the way we bet. This is the way we go. The whole world is like behind the stock market. Yay, we're going to have a magical Christmas. And then it went down and it's down and it's down and it's down. They pulled the rug. They're bad. They're bad people at the bottom. They knew it was going to, they pumped it up, make money going up because it should have gone down. And then when it went up, they're like, okay, we're going to make money going the other way now. And it's like, yeah, everybody, it's going to be a great Christmas. And then rug pull. And now it's, so it's same thing with the games. That's the way these people make money. It's all manipulated. It's all about money. And they're going to take our money any way they can. They take it from taxation. They take it from the sports betting. They take it from the biggest casino in the world, which is the stock markets, and on and on and on.
What do you see? Thanks, Michael. What do you see, Janine, in the cards for for that final. We spoke about that date, December 18th, being potentially an important event date. Do we see any update on that in the cards on that final, which is on Sunday, 18th of December?
I love these quiet moments before Janine reveals. The tension.
Interesting. So this is an independence card. The word sovereign comes to mind. She makes her own money. And these cards were drawn in, the 1600s, possibly originally even sooner, like maybe the 1400s. They don't know for sure, but this drawing has been, reprinted and reprinted, obviously, and maybe they've adjusted it somewhat. But normally women wouldn't have their own income back then. They were literally cattle. And they were considered like they would be pawned off in marriages, and you know how it was, right? But she is a very unique drawing in the tarot, where she is a woman with her own means. All those pentacles and all of those grapes always mean wealth. Okay, so she's got her own property and wealth, and she is very unique. She even has a falcon for a pet. So she doesn't have to entice a marriage. She can live singly, because back then that would have been a luxury, right? Because they would have to marry, and often not to somebody they particularly liked, right? It was always an arranged thing. So anyway, she's that. So this is us here. And it's around the game, and we've got the 3 of Swords. So there's going to be something that I get, because this was under it, is revealed in the game. And I keep getting this consistently. And it's something that we thought we lost in the past, because this is a hurt and ouch and lost. I feel like they might reveal some people in the stands or whatever, or maybe they'll even bring them out. I'm not sure how obvious it'll be, but we thought we lost some people, and they're going to be revealed here. So I think some of those people that are in that got whisked off the earth supposedly in really weird ways, that we were like, what, how did, you know what I mean? Like JFK Jr. potentially, and maybe even Diana, and I don't know which ones, but it
It's
seems
Diana.
to,
It's Diana.
you think? Yeah. People
three of,
that they thought left and are coming back.
so you said about the Falcon 51, that's just Sarah.
Mhm.
And then you said Independence. So Swords is 98 Independence, and that's a female. But literally 3 of Swords comes to 175, comes to Diana Francis Spencer, comes to consciousness. So I don't know, maybe she'll be in a masked up or something. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, it seems to me they'd have to make it pretty obvious, because we've already thought we saw her in all these different ways.
Maybe she'll be on the TV.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to need to bring it more out in the open, because this is moving out of troubled water and or clarity. I'm thinking if they do that, that move would have to be, or it's a non-move at this point. We've already seen them in the backdrop of Trump rallies. Okay, they did that. So white hats, if that was the deal, you better step it up. I'm saying, step that up a niche, for us.
Well, 3 of Swords is 175. It's consciousness. It's Diana Francis Spencer. So let's see. Well, that could be really cool. Maybe she'll be there in the audience that they show, or just when they zoom in on people during the Super Bowl. Maybe they'll have that and be like, that's Diana, and then it will flash away. Who knows? Wow, that's exciting if that's the case. Have you got any other thoughts, Janine, in terms of what you think you've done your card reading on it, but is there an intuition that's telling you some possible things that may transpire around this cup final, this World Cup? Because I don't know how many millions of people are going to watch it, but it'll be a global televised event. So it's a great opportunity for some truth to be revealed.
Well, I was hoping it would be a really big reveal, like a lot of people are saying, But I keep getting consistently in the cards. It'll be more subtle at the game itself, and stuff's going on. They're going to use it as an opportunity to do a really big sweep, like a roundup. And not so hidden, and that you're going to see footage of it later. Like you're going to see people missing, then you're going to see footage, and it might take a few days afterwards.
Yeah.
So that was
Now
what I was getting.
Imagine right now if Charles III and Princess Diana comes out and reveals, whoa, that would be like the ultimate takedown of the monarchy system for England.
Wow,
Mhm.
that would be awesome. That would be incredible. There's that film. I couldn't remember the name of it when we spoke before, but Tomorrow War. There's a thing about the World Cup final, and it's Brazil, but Brazil are out in the final now. But Brazil is one of the teams in it. But then they have these, literally, it's like a parting of the veil, and these super soldiers descend like into the stadium and kind of stop the game and everything else. It's pretty, I mean, it's pretty, iconic, pretty dramatic. But it's all to do with the World Cup.
Think about it. Think about it. So the veil, so behind the veil of the Super Bowl, these super soldiers are rounding up scumbags. That's what that sounds like to me. But the veil is on the Super Bowl while everybody's watching, because it'll keep everybody busy, won't it?
Yeah.
And
World Cup
indoors.
final, the soccer, the World Cup final. Yeah. Right. That's it. Yeah. So something super soldiers. Yeah. So the distraction of the cup final, and then behind the scenes, the piercing of the veil, and they're coming in and taking them out. Okay. That's very cool. Wow.
Yeah, so Brazil, there's no way Brazil was going to make it to the top, because Brazil is basically having a legal issue with their voting.
Yeah.
Right. And that's going against the deep state, uprising against their deep state puppet that they put in, Lula. So, we've had greats from Brazil. Brazil has always been, great football teams with, going up. I remember Pele. Pele was my hero back when I was a boy playing football, soccer, football. They play both. But it's you look at bigger pictures like that, and you're like, they're not going to, United States is not going to make it, because they didn't take a knee, and all the kind of crazy stuff that was going on with the United States, and pushing back against the deep state. We want everybody to be like this. So the United States is out, Brazil's out, England, even if those teams like the English footballers are obviously probably always the winners, but if it was left to no one manipulating things. But when you have the manipulation, you're like, okay, you're not going to play your best today, and the football, it's remotely controlled, so we're going to make sure the best kicker gets it. And so, I mean, it's on and on and on. It's there's so many different things that goes on with these games. Here in America, we had, with Tom Brady again, we had like this scandal with the football, because it wasn't inflated correctly. So and they called it Deflategate. But why was that? It was probably because whatever remote control device that was in it, it couldn't be completely inflated. I don't know. So I see these balls fly through the air, and guys can't catch them that normally can catch things with like their pinky, and it hits them right in the chest, and like it bounces away. I'm like, what? So there's lots of stuff. You can look at this stuff. Everybody's like, why did you do that play? All of us that are footballers, it was like, why did you call that play? That's the dumbest play ever. Yeah, because it didn't work, and it wasn't meant to work, and that's because they rigged the games. It's like, come on.
Janine was talking about super soldiers. Well, we were, all of us, but Michael, to your knowledge, how many super soldiers are available for things like that, for special ops? You get a big world event, then we need some real heavy duty guys that can go in and do a certain operation. How many super soldiers, quote unquote, would be available to the White Hats to do special maneuvers? Can they create a number of super soldiers, or does it take a long time for them or are there different categories? Maybe, you know, guys that become super soldiers, gone through the program, or can they create super soldiers as well pretty quickly to do these special tasks?
Yeah, I think there's thousands available.
Okay.
There's also different category. There's like dogmen. There's all kind of crazy stuff that they can roll out.
Dogmen, what's that?
Dogmen are basically they stand upright. They're like dogs. They have dog features. I think a dogman was used to take out al-Baghdadi, because remember he blew himself up, and one of the dogs that was going in was wounded. He blew himself at the last moment. And that dog came to the White House, and President Trump was like, "Oh, here's a dog that was, you know, chasing down al-Baghdadi and blew himself up." And it's like, that dog didn't look like it had any wounds or anything. It's like, so dogmen have been used. I've had a show where I've had people on to talk about it. I was going to have this woman who's like an expert in dogman and Bigfoot and all these different, and werewolves. She was coming on, and mysteriously she had her back broken. So she didn't make it on the show that day.
Oh my
So
goodness.
there's all kinds of different people that have talked about it over the years. Of course, it gets suppressed, but you can look up dogmen. There's people that have had shows on dogmen. So that's another. I mean, there's all kinds of different categories now. There's robotics, you know, because these guys have robotics. These guys, Black Hats, have robotics. They're even talking about in San Francisco coming out with a RoboCop.
Wow.
Already. So yeah, so they've shown some of these things, and it's like, oh, this is just what's out there, what could be, and they have like all these robots that are shooting and all kind of crazy stuff. It's like, whoa, if they rolled out a bunch of those things, that would be tough. So yeah, they have to have a backup to that, and pretty much those are all programmed. They can be controlled remotely, like any drone could, of course. We have them, good guys have them, bad guys have them. But the ultimate is a super soldier, kind of like what I was, you know. So if you have super soldier capability, people that can think and you know, move on the spot, because you see these movies where these guys are like, you know, they're shooting where they think the thing should be taken down, like in the head. Like for us, if we get shot in the head, it blows out the brainstem and you're done. But a robot, their main control system oftentimes is in the chest. So if you have to know all these things. So if you're like shooting, and sometimes it just becomes intuitive. So a super soldier would be like that, like I have been, where you shoot out, you're shooting at that spot and it's not working, and then you adapt on the ground and take action. So a robot can't do that. A drone, somebody operating, you know, the robot or a drone or whatever, they're limited time factors and what they can see and stuff like that. So a super soldier can work outside that box because we're very creative, and we think very quickly. So there's that capability. So super soldiers, I think, are on the thousands of levels, thousands of people. Many of them are behind the scenes. Some of them have been taken behind the scenes. But that doesn't mean that, you know, the bad guys aren't taking and making super soldiers too. So it's a big war that's going on right now. Not everyone sees it, but it's definitely happening. So that's why I'm saying the reveal is, it's time for the reveal, because all of this back channel stuff is pretty much starting to clear. The dark ETs that were helping the bad guys have been cleared. Only good ETs are basically controlling the situation right now, but they're not going to come in and do the work. Humanity has to do the work. So once we achieve something, just like anything in your life, if it's handed to you, you're like, oh, $1 million diamond. Oh, that's pretty. I'll put it on my ring, and you lose it. It's like, oh, lost it. Somebody just gave it to me. But if you earn that, and it takes you a lot of effort to earn that $1 million ring, you're going to take care of that thing. And that's the way I think as we're making the shift, that's the way it is for us. We're having to work very hard. We're having to go through some very difficult times. So on the other side of that, when we have this beautiful world that we're already starting to create, breaking free from their systems, their control systems to make money, to control us. Once we break free from that, imagine what kind of world that is, where we're not controlled by them. All the information that's being, restricted from us, what the different realities are really like. Gravity, is it really, this thing in the center of the earth and it's pulling? And no, it's going to be electromagnetics and all kind of crazy stuff. We're already learning that. We're learning that on our own. So imagine when the real information is just put out there on the table. Here it is. Here's all the information, all the creative people that are going to be able to have access to that are already creating without that information. When they have that information, it goes to an incredible level, and we can create on this world like never before we've ever seen. Even during Lemurian or Atlantean times, it'll be even more spectacular than those times.
Wow.
Mm.
What's the process? Sorry, go on, Janine.
I'm going to have to scoot here right away.
Oh, yes, we have to say goodbye. I was just going to ask.
Yeah, I sure loved what you just said, Michael.
Yeah, that was really fascinating.
Yeah.
How do you become a super soldier, Michael? Maybe we'll let Janine go and we can ask that question, or if it's a quick answer.
Okay, see you guys.
Oh, Janine, before you go, how can people find you? We should have mentioned at the beginning. How can people find your channel?
TBJ, so the long version of what you guys know me as, tbj.com, and or at Rumble on Beyond Mystic. We do a Thursday Rumble show. Yeah, and also Jean-Claude's pay-per-views. You can find me on his channel.
Excellent.
Beyond Mystic. Thanks,
and
guys.
a shout out. Janine's coming to one shout out. Janine's coming to the UK to do
I am
a number of gigs with Mark Atwood and myself and a few others. So that we're excited about that as well. So
that'll be in April. And if you go to I've spread it on all my social medias, and I'll continue to, but there's an early bird ticket sale thing going on right now.
Yes. Excellent.
Good. See you guys.
Thanks, Janine. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so how's a super soldier selected?
Yeah.
It's basically your standout in your group already. And I'm just speaking on like this basic level. And then eventually, like this analytical 3D reality they're in, there's other realities of super soldiers as well. Space Force and all that kind of stuff. But just in our reality, you're brought in and you're taught different things, and you go to different levels, and then they basically wipe you. So there's even a lot of people think there's only the space, super soldiers, that guys are like on a 20 back program. Probably a lot of people have heard about those. I'm involved in that as well. I've been cloned into that, and that clone, like no soul clone, is basically I was twinned. My mother's eggs were taken, and there was another me that was created. So and that was from cells from me as well. So I've experienced that. Other me in the Space Force. I'm connected to that. I've talked about that. I have memories of that. But on this level, there are memories of where I've been doing things in this reality, super soldiers type stuff. And I think a lot of people are going to find that out going forward. Some people have spoken about it over time, but not a lot. I'm starting to come to those memories as well. So you're given, the high speed stuff. I saw it when I was at SEAL Team 6. You got super high speed stuff. Now I think there's a group of guys that were taken from the equivalent of SEAL Team 6 is Delta, and I think from all the different countries, really, not just from America. It's not just an American thing. It's people the top of their group, top of their whatever, like SAS in England, SAS in Australia, France, whatever Germany, whatever country has really high speed guys. The top of those guys are basically chosen to go in some of these other programs. And
when you said the super quick stuff, what's that? It's like they operate quickly, or there's a a science or something that's added to them? What is that?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a certain level of training, but
Mhm.
there's also, you know, supplements, and maybe there's even surgeries that are done to like increase capabilities.
Okay.
Maybe, you know, wiring that's done on guys.
So they're upgraded to like a bionic man in some ways.
Yeah. So I've talked to a bunch of these guys over time, and
Yeah.
they talked about how they were wounded in combat, and they just kind of like wake up in a hospital. One guy was in Bethesda, Maryland, and there was another guy in San Diego that I talked to, the hospital in San Diego. I can't think of the name right, Balboa, I think. And both of those guys were talking about how they came in the military, they're doing high speed stuff, and then they woke up in a hospital, and they don't remember being in part of any combat or anything like that. They just wake up in these hospitals and walk around like they're dumbfounded. And then later they get x-rays and they see where there's a piece of them that was blown out, like of their brain or their bodies, or they have implants or all kind of crazy stuff. So there's definitely something that's going on here on the 3D reality, and there's stuff going on out in space. So that's what I've come to understand, and a lot of people have been exposing it. But yeah, I think there's many of them out there. I think they're active, but I think the bad guys have those programs as well. And maybe they're created because the bad guys have the program, you know, like the Germans that went down in Antarctica and all that kind of stuff. So whether there's some kind of League of Nations, you know, down in Antarctica now, that's where they're restricting, you know, anyone from going down there, and they're developing these super soldiers, these programs, these you know, missiles, high-tech military type equipment or so forth to take down the deep state. I think that's going on down there. So many people have talked about it. I have memories that bleed through every now and then. So do other people. So there's lots of evidence out there to support that.
Wow, that's fascinating. Thanks, Michael. That's very interesting. Let's see what happens on the cup final day. Let's see what we hear maybe after. We'll see. It'll be
wow. Sounds like
intriguing.
France has got a leg up on it. What you're saying. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah. All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Good to see you as always. How can people find you?
michaelkjaco.com. Have all my stuff over there, so you can just you know, go through, and courses, you know, clothing line, and you know, all my channels and so forth.
Awesome. All right, buddy. Well, give my regards to Tracy Joe. We'll see you soon, and a lot of fun. Thanks, buddy.
All right, thank you. Great time.
Thanks, Michael. Cheers, man. And also, if people are still watching the video, make sure you're subscribed to Tom Number Show and Site Club, both on YouTube. And if you subscribed before, just check you still are. And we've got Rumble and Telegram and everything else. So, and make sure you go to Michael's channel. So, all right. God bless. Thanks, Michael. See you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.